There is a ton of misunderstanding, of course, about cats in general, which is kind of why I'm here, but specifically about the cats who call our communities their home. Feral cats, free roaming, stray, community cats, they all fall into that category. They need help. They are not socialized to humans. They are not pets, so to speak. They call our communities their home. There is a lot that goes wrong when it comes to the care of them and how they're misunderstood. So there was this case in Alabama.
Question, what are you doing?
Trying to trap some cats.
Okay. All right,
Where two women, one being 83 years old, they were practicing T.N.R, Trap Neuter Return. And I'll get into that in a little bit. But they were arrested. This is a small town in Alabama. Every cop was there.
Y'all have 3 cop cars because I'm feeding cats.
To stop them from doing what they were doing, which was actually performing a service for that city. And for that, they were handcuffed and led away, swiftly convicted of trespassing. And now there's an appeal in process. All that to be said, it focused attention, but in kind of a strange way. I mean, even the media trying to focus in on what happened to these women. If you look at the headlines, there were all these insinuations, or overtly said that it was about feeding the cats. It's not about feeding the cats, because if it was just about feeding, what would happen? These colonies would grow and grow and grow unchecked. What these two women were doing were managing that colony. Before I move forward with this very important topic, something that's important to us around here at this channel, which is that you subscribe to it. So many of you watch these videos but don't subscribe, and there's no reason for that. You want to know what video's coming up next? Give us a thumbs up, because you love to hear about community cats. And right next to the subscribe button, there's a button that says join. And that way you can become part of the Mojo Knots, where we have exclusive behind the scenes footage. We have live streams just for members. We have all kinds of goodies. Just click that button and find out more about that as well. I mean, why should you be concerned about this? Because even if you have one colony of cats in your neighborhood, let's just say you had a colony of cats, you had maybe 6 cats in that colony. Well, here's the thing. Cats reproduce at an alarming rate. They can get pregnant 2 times a year. They can have anywhere between 4 and 7 average kittens per litter, sometimes less, sometimes more. And those kittens, once they hit 3 to 4 months old, they can reproduce, and that's going to happen. And year on year on year, you're going to see an exponential explosion of that colony. One of the things you have to remember is if you're a feral cat, you're undomesticated, you're not a pet cat, you're unsocialized with humans, you are on the street, looking to survive, hunting, scavenging, finding shelter, living in communities of other cats, but you're going to stay invisible from humans, because humans equal threat, as far as you're concerned. So for instance, if you're a resident of Los Angeles, you might say, well, I don't really see a whole lot of cats around here. But one estimate said that there are over 2.5 million feral cats in Los Angeles on the streets. I want to let that sink in for a second if you live in LA, but if not, no matter where you live, you're going to have these cats. You're also going to see a lot of those kittens and cats die prematurely and in not such nice ways because they're not being cared for. That's a pretty grim picture, and that is what historically we've allowed to happen, which is why there's an epidemic of community cats in most of our communities. So what's the answer here? How do we help these cats and also make sure that they don't take over certain neighborhoods? Well, we can just let it be, and we've seen what that'll do. We can also, some advocate, we just round them up and dispose of them. And then there's T.N.R. Trap Neuter Return. Sounds pretty simple, right? We start with groups that are tasked with caring for these cats, or individuals, as it was in Alabama. They will first start feeding these cats on a regular schedule to get them used to coming to a certain spot and eating. Also telling the neighbors in that area, hey, this is what we're doing. Please don't feed these cats. We want them to get used to this one thing. And also educating neighbors who are afraid that they're going to get rounded up and killed, which usually folks don't want. Then, after we've established that trust, they're being fed in a trap, which we don't spring. We just let them come to the trap, eat, and walk away. Finally, we trap them. This is, of course, very humane. They walk in, they start eating, the door closes. Then the person tasked with taking care of them brings them to a veterinarian where they are spayed or neutered, they are microchipped, they are vaccinated, they are dewormed, they have a general wellness check to make sure they're not carrying around something that's going to cause them a lot of pain or discomfort. Then they are ear tipped, and if you've ever seen a cat like our little mascot Mojo with his tip, that means I have been neutered, so please don't trap me again. Then they are returned to their colony. Now, these cats are sterilized and they will live out their lives in these colonies. The people who trap them also maintain and manage these colonies to make sure that they're living the best life they can. We give them warm beds in the winter, we give them shade in the summer, and we just watch for drippy noses and goopy eyes and that kind of thing. That's that. We allow the colony to take care of itself, and they live their natural lives, which granted are shorter than lives of indoor cats, and then the colony eventually dies out. This has been proven. This works. And this is by far the most humane way to tackle this problem. Here's an example in Louisville, Kentucky, where they really embraced this model. With Louisville Metro Animal Services, once this model of T.N.R. was adopted, over an 8-year period, here's what they found. A combined total of 24,697 cats were trapped, sterilized, vaccinated, and returned over an 8-year period. During this time, admissions to the shelter dropped by 42.8%, and here's the kicker, euthanasia of cats by Louisville Metro Animal Services declined by 94.1%. Those are pretty staggering numbers in every respect. The cat lives that were saved and cat lives that were allowed to live their lives in their community, and the strain financially on the city budget. And that is such a much more organic way of understanding and servicing the cats in our communities. So that's T.N.R. in a nutshell. It's been done for years and years and years, but the letters T.N.R. are still widely unknown, you know, and when we go from community to community, which is why we might see those headlines, 2 women arrested while feeding cats. Again, I have to draw that very bright line between feeding and practicing T.N.R. Feeding, while being done out of the goodness of someone's heart, actually does damage because you're just actually perpetuating the cycle. We're keeping these cats nice, well, and fed and reproducing. T.N.R. is Trap Neuter Return. It is a method, it is an approach, and as I've said before, and I will always say, it is the only proven humane way of managing cat colonies and cat populations. And as a shelter worker who had to deal with the fallout of the feral cat explosion, and this is back in the 90s, now we've got municipalities embracing and proving the efficacy of T.N.R. I mean, I just named one place, Louisville, but think about this. I mean, this is being replicated in places like San Jose and Long Beach, California. Los Angeles now has the new LA citywide cat program, which is going to do so much good. We've got it being done, and in Alabama. Let's talk about Alabama. I was talking to Allison Black Cornelius, who is the CEO of the Greater Birmingham Humane Society, the biggest shelter in Alabama, and a pretty monstrous shelter in comparison to a lot in the U.S. And they have embraced TNVR, as they call it, Trap Neuter Vaccinate Return. But yeah, I mean, cat-wise, you were saying, what are your cat numbers like?
Just to give you an idea, okay, wait, hang on a second, of how substantial of a difference this made. The board of directors approved the TNVR program on July the 1st of 2018. When that program starts, it was at a high of 3935 in 2016. That's how many cats you were euthanized. In 2018, when that program starts, it drops to 2,700. In 2019, it drops to 1,000. In 2020, it drops to 700. 2021, it drops even more. And then all of a sudden in 2022, it's 165. Now you going from 3,000 to 165 this past calendar year.
Although there's always going to be detractors, TNR now is enjoying a lot of broad public support. And if done with the appropriate intensity in a targeted way, it can be a lot more cost efficient than lethal removal, euthanasia, and like I said, the toll that it takes on the people who work in those shelters. I put a link to the National Feline Research Council website. You're going to learn so many eye-opening things here about TNR. Please go and visit that website. TNR offers a very attractive alternative to city shelters because as opposed to taking in quote-unquote strays that often make up 75% of their intake, remember, these are cats that can't be adopted out. They're not socialized to humans. They're not pets. So they wind up being euthanized. Now, these cats don't have to go through that. They're just returned back to their colonies, to their communities, which is where they belong.
It's going to get ugly if you don't stop.
Can I please say one thing?
Okay.
And yet, that still happens. People are getting fined and arrested, and it gets connected to these community cats. And that's pretty outrageous. There are laws on the book overtly banning TNR, overtly banning even the feeding of these cats, the caring for these cats, the management of these cats, and the end result, as I've said now a number of times, population explodes. Sick cats, dying cats, and a human population that gets completely exasperated. This is the only way to go, everybody. And this is something that is so important for you to learn about, to whatever degree. Share this video so that you can connect other people to the cause itself. Go out there and connect with one of the groups in your area. All you have to do is Google the name of your city and TNR, and you will find resources so that you can help. And if you can't help by going out and trapping, you can contribute to the cause financially. You can point out to your neighbors, you see that cat with the tip on his ear? That's a feral cat. Just keep an eye on him, okay? His name is Floyd, and I want to make sure that he's well fed. If he's not, I'll come and trap him again. We'll get him to a vet. Just educating that these cats are important. Just because they're not pets, just because they're not a cat that sits in your lap watching YouTube with you, does not make them less of a cat and does not make them less worthy of your love, affection, and guidance and stewardship. We just show it in different ways. The cat in your lap and the cat under your car, they're still cats that belong to your community, one way or another, and they deserve our stewardship. And this is the way to do it, TNR. This is something that is going to become more and more a story, and I hope it's a story that you will help to tell. That's all I got. So let me know what you think in the comments. Any other questions that you might have. We'll do follow-ups on this video. I just wanted to get you rooted into what we can do to help the cats in our community, what you can do, and how you can spread this word. So like I said, share the video and get the conversation going. Put that conversation in the comments. By the way, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and give us a little thumbs up because you love community cats and you love TNR and you love hearing about it. Until next time, everybody, all light and all love and all feral cat mojo to you.